Hello and welcome to Gabbett Media. I'm Grant Abbott and today I'm going to be reviewing the Gaomon, I think it's pronounced Gaomon, s620 or 620, depends how you want to pronounce it. So it's a graphics tablet, I should say, not a drawing tablet, some people call them. And it's got 4 programmable buttons. It's 6.5 by 4 inches, so it's a smaller one than I'm used to using. I didn't really find that a problem, the size. You soon get used to the size of the tablet. But I prefer a bigger one just so I don't have to zoom into my art so much. So I've got sort of more scope with my hands going a certain distance, as you can imagine. It's covering that on my canvas on my screen. So the smaller distance you've got more detail, so you have to zoom in more for a smaller tablet. That's what I find anyway when I'm using it. I was quite impressed. Now generally speaking you can go through all the pen pressure sensitivity and all these response times and things like that, but generally it's how it feels, and it felt fine. Fine, I say fine. I would say the Wacom, I prefer the pen. The Wacom pens are much stiffer, and I would say they just edge it in terms of the response rate. They just a bit sharper in programs like Photoshop. Maybe it's something to do with their drivers, I don't know. But this I would find is exactly the same as any Huion, UG, XP pen, and I'm sure there's other brands that, what are they? Can't remember. There's loads of other brands. They all seem to be the same. So whatever graphics tablet you buy, if it's one of those sort of major sort of rivals to Wacom, it will be the same. I'm pretty sure Gaomon is something to do with Huion, because I'm sure it mentioned Huion drivers whilst I was installing the Gaomon drivers. So they seem really interchangeable. I'm sure someone told me once that one of the company members has gone to join a rival company, and so it's all pretty much intermingled. You're getting pretty much the same tablet each one. The difference will be when it comes to the drivers and how easy is it to set up on your machine, and do they keep the drivers up to date. That's the most important thing for you. The tablet itself felt fine, it was all good, it was all easy to use in the programs, but did the drivers work? That's the thing, and that's always, I get questions all the time asking, does it work on this system? And I'm thinking, well, I've only got one system to test it on, but I'm using Windows 10, the most up-to-date version. A version isn't the right word, but you know what I mean. It's all up-to-date. I've updated my graphics tablet card. I've updated my graphics card, and that's got all the up-to-date drivers. So the interesting thing was that I didn't uninstall my Wacom drivers for once. I thought I'm just gonna try it without it, and it worked. It didn't interfere with my Wacom drivers that I have installed, because usually I have to uninstall all them and reinstall them, which can be a bit of a pain. So that is a bit of a plus in a sense. So if you're using this and you're going to take it to college or something like that with you, and they've got different drivers on the system, it may well work for you. I'm not promising anything. They do have Mac drivers as well. Lots of people ask me that, and they've got Mac drivers. And what I was very impressed with this, you can use it with your mobile phone. So I suppose I ought to go through more of the specs, and I'll come back to that in a second. It's got your typical pen with 2 buttons on. It's got your 4 programmable buttons, but you can't do them interchangeably between programs. So I have Blender set up with different buttons than I do Photoshop, for example. You can't do that with this. They're either one way or another. To be fair, I tend to use my keyboard anyway when I'm using a graphics tablet like this, so I don't find the programmable buttons that important, but it's occasionally nice to have 1 or 2, maybe an undo button on your tablet. It's kind of handy. More important is the pen, and that is very important to me. I have the main button as my middle mouse button because that's how I rotate around the screen in Blender, or I have it set to spacebar in Photoshop so I can move around my canvas, and you can't do that with these drivers. They don't allow you to interchange between programs and different buttons, so you've always got the same button. What's the other thing I was going to say? Yes, now working with your mobile phone. This is fascinating. I haven't seen this before. Maybe it's a function of other tablets, but this was new to me, and to be honest, I'm quite impressed. I thought it was pretty cool. You've got these 2 little adapters. So it's, what is it, USB-C? Let me just double check that. Yeah, no, it's not. It's just mini USB jack in there. But this plugs into these adapters, and you can then plug it into your phone. And I thought, that's not going to work. There's no way. I'm going to show a clip of me using it. It was literally plug in, and I was away. And I got this app, Galaxy Note app, which is a drawing app. I'm sure there's better ones out there actually, because it's not very good. You have to sort of do 2 clicks to get to your rubber, and then 2 clicks to get back to your pen, and I always find that really irritating. But I suppose I could set up some of these shortcuts, maybe. I don't know whether the shortcut buttons work with phones or not. That's an interesting one. But you can still work with your screen, so I can zoom in with my screen, and then I can draw on the tablet and zoom out again. That was quite cool. It was quite a quick workflow, and I managed to just plug it in, and it worked. There was no driver install, there was no app to install. Plugged it in, and it worked straight away, and all the pressure sensitivity worked. It was very good. The lines were all straight. There wasn't a load of wobble. And I've tried drawing on my phone before with the actual pen that comes with your phone, and it's quite a naff, horrible experience, and it really just doesn't work. Maybe I'm not a good enough artist, but I didn't find it worked. But with this, I thought, actually, do you know, I could take this on holiday if I really struggling for space and I don't want to take my bigger computers or anything. I could take this and do some sketching if I wanted to. I mean, I could just take a sketchbook, of course, but if you're really into digital art, and I like doing digital art because I've got the undo function, all the sort of colours and all that sort of thing, and no mess, this is something I would quite enjoy taking with me and using with my mobile phone. So I was quite impressed from that point of view. And yes, it works just as well as all those other tablets when plugged into your computer. I didn't have any particular problem. I just had to do a couple of restarts. It was a bit strange. I don't know whether it's a bit glitchy with Photoshop, but you always seem to have these issues. Photoshop, it's Adobe products. They sort of do updates, and they're not compatible with some things, and it takes a while for those things to update their drivers. So whatever you're buying, you're going to have those sort of issues where you might have to reinstall drivers and update your drivers regularly. That's just how it goes. Even Wacom, you will have those issues. You see them on all sorts of forums. Wacom problems, what do I do? My pen pressure stopped working, things like that. So don't assume buying one of these tablets it's going to be plug in and play. There is a little bit of fiddling about. Having said that, easy to find. Gaomon s620 drivers took me straight to their page. Very simple. Download, one there for Windows, one for Mac. Download the Windows one, installed it, all working after a restart. And then there was a slight glitch, but I just unplugged the tablet and plugged it back in, and it was back. For some reason, it just wasn't seeing it. But that, again, like I say, I don't think that's a major issue, and I've had that with loads of these other drivers as well. I've had it with Wacom as well, so you can't get around that, it seems. I think I've probably said enough. Oh, I haven't said what's in the box. You get a glove, which is I always think is quite nice, but I rarely use them on these graphics tablets. I use them on the screens that I use when I'm drawing, like the Cintique and stuff, but I don't use them on these sort of tablets because your hand just glides anyway. But it's nice if you're really neat and tidy. The pen comes in its nice case. I like this case. That's cool, isn't it? Yeah, for some reason I just like that sort of thing. And you've got your adapters, and you've got your special nib replacements and stuff. You've got to be a little bit careful because they come in these little tiny plastic bags which could get lost, so there's no specific place for them. And obviously the lead as well. So I would thoroughly recommend this. It's the price being about £35, I think it is, $35. So it's pretty cheap, but it's standard for this sort of thing for that size. So it's fairly standard price. The fact that it works with your phone, I think, is a bit of a bonus. So I would recommend it on that regards. And all the drivers working well, nice, comfortable experience. So yes, well done, Gaomon, and thank you for sending it to me. I hope that's been informative to you, and happy drawing, blending, or whatever you choose to do with your tablet. Do look up my other reviews and things. For the ultimate guide to graphics tablet is probably a good one if you're new to these sort of things. But hopefully I've given you enough information. If you're still with me, thanks for watching, and like I say, I hope this helps.